Greetings, Warlords. Rodge here. Welcome to SAGA Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. Today we are joined by James. James, how's it going?
Hey, Rodge, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, good. I am doing well. And this is the first video that the watchers, the listeners are seeing of you. And the interesting thing, though, is it's not the first video that we've recorded because kind of how you and I met up was through Dan Neal. I was looking specifically for somebody to help out with the 300th episode of SAGA Thursday, which is just a couple weeks away at this point. And I wanted to do a Spartan faction review. And so I didn't know anybody at the time, but Dan kind of sent out some feelers and hooked us up because you do play the Spartans. And then we recorded that video. And that was a couple months ago. You know, I was trying to get everything done in advance and just make sure it could happen. And so that is coming out. But then we got to talking. You know, you come back on some other time, and you had a giant list of ideas. And so you're now going to be somewhat of a recurring guest where we'll see you from time to time. And the topic today is going to be kind of interesting. So I got to do a couple housekeeping items before we get to that. But what is the topic for today, James? And this was your idea.
Yeah, so Raj, today we are talking about how to play Saga with the models that you may already have. You may have played another game previously. You've got them in an old box in the closet, and maybe you don't like the old rules so much anymore. You want to play Saga with them. So that's what we're exploring, and we're going to go through all kinds of different armies, time periods, factions, and we'll match them up with a particular Saga board. And we'll talk a little bit about at least why I felt that's a good match thematically. We'll look at a particular Saga ability that kind of draws out that theme, and we'll chit chat about it a little.
Yeah. So this is a great topic. It's something I've kind of had in the back of my mind is something to address at some point, because I've seen mentioned on the Discord or Facebook people playing like Lord of the Rings using the Saga rules and battle boards and stuff. And also A Song of Ice and Fire in particular I've seen. And with both of those, and I tried to look and find, but I've seen people doing like fake battle boards essentially for those. They kind of remocked it up. And maybe even like the dice too, going that extra mile. So I have seen those. So hopefully if you know that's your gaming group and you guys have done that, you can kind of chime in.
I haven't gone that far. For me, it's always we're gonna pick a Saga battle board, and we're gonna pick an army and just kind of make it work.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what we're going to kind of jump into once we get to it. But there are a few things we got to talk about here on these monthly episodes, and that is, let me see if I bring here, some events coming up. Span all off center here, seems to do. All right. And coming up, I just want to remind folks that Fimble Winter is, registration is open. That's the tournament that I'm running, February 14th and 15th. Middle of Wisconsin, middle of winter. Sounds crazy, but it's a whole lot of fun. Age of Chivalry with the Black Death theme, and registration is open for that. So I'm going to keep hammering it, folks, until you guys fill up the registration spots. You're going to be getting a reminder.
Tell me a little bit about that Black Death theme, if you don't mind. That sounds really cool.
Sure. So yeah, if you're really interested, I'll have the link to the tournament pack. But essentially, the Black Death, the way that it's working out is mainly with terrain, I guess, in two different ways. So it starts out with 8-point warbands. You're bringing 8 points, and that's 13, 46, or 69, or whatever the year before the Black Death arrives. And then the armies go down to 4 points for round 2. So the Black Death has arrived and knocked out half the population. Game 3 is 5 points. Game 4 is 6 points. And so with the smaller sizes, you can squeeze in an extra game on the first day. So it's, just about the same amount of time for 4 games. Round 5 on day 2 will be 7 points. And then for the final round, we'll just roll a die. It's 50-50, whether it goes to 8 points or there could be a resurgence and you go back down to 6 points. And then you have random scenarios for rounds 3 through 6. So rounds 1 and 2 are set. You know what you'll be playing, but there'll be a pool of scenarios. And they all got a kind of a Black Death theme. There's some
Cool.
Fun little text kind of explaining scenario and how it might relate specifically to the plague. So it should be cool. So you don't know your points value necessarily when you're going to be playing a certain scenario, or even if you are playing a scenario. So it's going to be a lot just kind of playing on the fly. And then with the plague going back to the terrain, then the ruins are basically like haunted by corpses and stuff. So nice. Certain troops don't generate Saga dice if they go into the ruins. They have to get out of the ruins before the end of the game, or else they'll count as casualties, because they've been affected.
Sure.
You got to bring a little doctor model, and he can kind of do some stuff. So should be a lot of fun. So just a little taste of what we got cooked up, and we're going to be building special little gibbets and terrain pieces, and everybody's got to bring some plague markers, whether that's corpses, flagellants, rats, whatever is in your mind's eye for plague.
Sure.
It's something that people got to bring. So yeah, we're put a lot of effort into it, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time.
All right, so moving on, friend of the show this month is Luik at Scropha Miniatures. And since we've caught up with him last time, he has fully released his Hebrew army. So these are biblical times. So on the surface, not totally Saga compatible, but as we shall see, and we'll touch on this, I want to talk a little bit about Bronze Age Saga potentially. Sure. And so he's got Hebrews, Assyrians for sure, and then Hittites, a couple other factions. And I think this is a secret, but Egyptians are coming. So I think that's going to be the next warband for those guys. And if you need chariots, definitely he's got you covered. The Carthaginian heavy chariot or any of the Persian chariots for the Saga players got you covered there. Finding a good chariot is actually
it is difficult. It's tricky. And we got the Indians too, I think, that have them.
Yeah, Indian. So he does have a whole Indian army. So he does have a couple Saga compatible warbands on the outside. So Indians, and then ancient Persians. So Age of Alexander style guys, and then he's got Parthians as well. So when Age of Caesars come out, the Parthians will definitely be represented. That's not a secret. So he's got a lot of cool figs, and primarily filling out those ancient ranges, and he even does custom work where he did this David and Goliath miniature. You can't awesome. See it. I don't think he posted it. I saw it somewhere, but I'm not totally sure where he posted it. But this is a custom model, a commission he did for somebody, so perfectly in line with his work on the ancient stuff. So check him out. And as an offer to the Hearthguards, Lifeguards, and not the Hearthguards, sorry, Lifeguards and Warlords, he'll be giving away this Ancients objective marker set. So this is one of his older ones, but I thought it was kind of interesting. So he's going to go back and retool it and kind of fix it up for the patrons there. So if you're a Lifeguard or a Warlord patron, you're going to get that STL set for free. So thank you, Luik at Scropha, and keep on doing what you're doing. Now, if you are a Hearthguard and want something, that's where the Rodge shields come into play. So last month was the Picked shield set, and those turned out pretty cool. I was pretty happy. All the weird different shield shapes and sizes and stuff. So I'm planning to use those on my Rainbow Irish Warriors, and should be pretty cool. I'm working on the Normans right now. So once that is done, I'm definitely going to have all the Age of Vikings warbands, shields covered. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So I get in on that. That's for Hearthguards, Lifeguards, and boards this month, September. Not too late to sign up. And finally, we're getting to the main topic here, James. And why don't you kind of got a little background on this. So why don't you regale us with kind of how this idea started with you?
Yeah, so I'm a long time Lord of the Rings player. Picked it up right when it came out in, I don't know, 2001. I've always had the models, always thought they were pretty neat. The pairings sculpted them, so they're really nice sculpts. And as the interest sort of drifted to Saga a couple of years ago, one of my first thoughts was, gosh, some of the Lord of the Rings models would make for pretty cool Saga, either a Saga warlord, like I've got a Theoden I converted. I've got a Gandalf and a Saruman, who are both priests for me now. So that was something I did pretty early on, where I thought these great Lord of the Rings models would make for nice Saga figures. Started playing Saga a bit more seriously, became kind of one of my main miniatures games, and especially after Magic came out, I found myself thinking, wait, there's a lot of really good model ranges out there where either I may not love the rules, or people I want to play with may not love the rules, but we all kind of like Saga. So let's grab some of those old armies that are, dusty in a closet. Let's pull them out, put them on the table, and pick a Saga faction, kind of make it work. So we have done that with, we've done it with Lord of the Rings stuff. We've done it with Rackham, the Ragnarok confrontation models.
Okay, yeah, very.
I've got these old, what was it, Mage Knight, the HeroClix kind of models. I popped them all off the HeroClix bases and just stuck them on normal bases.
2000s.
Yeah. So just all that kind of stuff. The heyday of the blind buy pre-painted models, which I'm glad is sort of come and gone. But but that's sort of where this topic came from. And so after so I started with Magic, because I think the Magic is a really good system, a really good book for grabbing armies from all kinds of different eras and plugging them in. And the main reason for that is that you have quite a diversity of equipment choices. You've got firearms, you've got, war machines, all these kinds of things. You've got the diversity of troop choices as well. And the battle boards themselves, they give you a really nice flavor that are easy to sort of stick to an archetype, right? You can well, that's pretty clearly elves there, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's where this list kind of came from. Started with Magic and pairing up the Magic factions with some other armies from both Lord of the Rings and from you could either do Sigmar figures, or you could do the I know they're making the Warhammer Fantasy Old World figures again. So you could do that.
Yeah, they're back at it. Got those.
Yeah, they're back at it. Pull the old models out of whatever the closet they're keeping them in, and getting them to us again. So yeah, started there, and then just I don't know, it just kind of spiraled a little bit. So I've got a big long list we can go through.
Okay, yeah. So this will be kind of an example of what you and your group of friends can do. Essentially, we're not providing like written guides.
Right.
Like rule books or official reskins or anything like that. Your buddies want to do that, you can certainly go for it. But as we'll see, it doesn't really need to be that complicated to kind of do these kind of reskins, rehashes, get some Saga. Using the models that you like and playing a game that you like. So let's do what's your first example here?
So the first example, I've paired. You could do the elves from Rivendell, specifically, sort of the more the martial armor and horses and all that kind of elves. And I also picked the Sigmar Stormcast, and I've paired them with the Great Kingdoms from Magic.
Oh yeah, perfect.
And in this case, the ability that I feel that really pulls out the theme for these guys is the Legendary Hero, which is a super cool ability. So you've got to be defending as the hero, and you can't be exhausted. He takes enough fatigues to become exhausted, but then he doesn't suffer any casualties. And I think this is really cool for the last stand, right? Like you've got the one dude just, maybe it's your warlord, maybe it's the, what do they call him in the lieutenant, I think.
Yep. Lieutenant, or the Great Kingdoms can get the paladins.
Paladin, perfect for it. You've got that one hero, he's standing in the gap, he's holding the line, and he's not going to die. That's it. That's the end of it. So I think that thematically really works for these kind of strong, powerful martial kingdoms. So that's the first one I marked down there. And when I did, I think when I did my Mage Knight, pop them off the base and put them on the new bases, I think I ran that as the Great Kingdoms and had a great time. I think I did 2 paladins running around just causing all kinds of havoc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I think in Age of Sigmar, and then I think in Lord of the Rings too, dabbled just a little bit, back in the original like 2003 era or whatever when they were coming out. But I think you got kind of more heroes than maybe a traditional warband. So the Great Kingdoms having those paladin troop choices, really align with those warbands, and kind of the way that the Age of Magic book shows the Great Kingdoms. They're clad in armor. They're kind of civilized folk from these kingdoms here. So when you think of elves and you think of Stormcast, that also aligns perfectly. And then the battle boards is pretty straightforward. It aligns, it's kind of melee focused, but has some shooting. So elves always seem to have some shooting. And I know there's a bajillion Stormcasts with crossbows and bows and stuff too. So it seems like, for the most part, that's a pretty good alignment there. So I agree with what you did. And I like the idea of, if you're not quite sure, you just kind of keyed in on that one ability, that like legendary hero, and you're okay. That kind of encapsulates what my vision for the Stormcast or the elves are. Is you're all kind of holding off against all odds. So this battle board has that ability, and so I'm gonna play using that battle board, essentially. Correct.
And the other thing that I'll say very positively about Great Kingdoms, again, talking about the diversity of equipment options that are available, troop choices that are available, almost anything you can say are Great Kingdoms. And so as I'm going through my list, if you're like, man, that was a really silly pick he just made there, you can always think in the back of your mind, well, I'll just run them as Great Kingdoms, because Great Kingdoms are so universal and they work for so many different things. They're sort of, if I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to run for one of these things, sometimes Great Kingdoms is just my default. Yeah,
you're right. Almost any kind of configuration here, even the Hearth Guards, and I think maybe the heroes can get flying mounts essentially, so you can even have flyers. I know some of the Stormcasts fly around, so that would to represent them. So yeah, I agree. Is it great? Are these guys great or not?
I think they're middle of the road personally. Definition. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be winning any tournaments anytime soon. But again, this is not for tournament play or anything like that. This is you and a couple of buddies pulling out some old models and rolling dice and having fun. And I think that they work really well for that. Yeah.
So this is, you've agreed with your buds. Okay, we're all going to get Lord of the Rings armies.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got our models. We're taking our models. We got the Age of Magic book. We're building legal warbands to the Age of Magic, in this instance, Great Kingdom rules. So that might preclude, can't take every Stormcast thing.
Sure.
Or the Sun potentially, because it'll base sizes and the weird stuff out there. Definitely like Rivendell Elves. I think we're covered there. Anything Lord of the Rings is definitely good. Covered, and you're using the Great Kingdoms battle board essentially, and so it's one of the factors here. So what if your buddy down here has got Mirkwood Elves?
Yeah.
Games. What would you recommend?
Yeah, so we're gonna pair up the something like the Mirkwood Elves, or maybe they call them Sylvaneth, I think, for Sigmar, or the kind of the classic old world, just fantasy wood elves. If you've got something like that, you got to go with Lords of the Wild. I think they're the really strong shooting magic faction. And the ability that I think really draws out their theme is that that ambush ability.
Bane of every opponent.
Oh man! Well, it makes you think about it makes you think about that terrain, right? And I mean, Saga, the terrain can almost be the third army out there sometimes in how you're playing and how you're thinking about the game. And I think this ambush where stuff just comes flying out of terrain, specifically a shooting attack coming out of the terrain, it works really well to make you feel like, oh man, there's elves everywhere, they're hiding everywhere. It works really well for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. And too, I kind of vision like Farmir's Rangers too, specifically that one scene. They're literally ambushing.
Yep.
Easterlings or one of the
no, I think
whoever's riding the elephants there. So that would also be a good one for the Lords of the Wild. So yeah, perfect fit there. I don't think geniuses or anything for making that particular connection.
We're not breaking some crazy new ground here, but it's just one of those things where it's like if you got the models and you say, man, I really want to play with them. This is and it's really anything that shoots, right? If you're whatever faction you're thinking of, whatever group of models you're looking at, you're like, man, I've got a lot of ranged guys in here. I think you want to go with Lords of the Wild. They're all kinds of cool stuff for shooting on this board.
Yeah. The other thing too, maybe for those guys is kind of like goblins or something. If you like your gobos, just shooting the tar out of your opponent.
Oh yeah.
And there's kind of like a horde unique unit, the swarm. Which wouldn't make sense necessarily for the Mirkwood elves, but make perfect sense for like a giant horde of goblins. So, depends your take on goblins. More shootier, kind of hit and run. I think the board work well for that. Right. What's the next one down here for you?
So we're staying in Magic. We're going to go through all the Magic factions and pair them up with some Lord of the Rings and some fantasy goodness. So the next one we're looking at is the Masters of the Underearth, and of course we're going to pair those with the Khazad Dûm dwarves.
Yep.
We gotta go with our dwarves here. I think that those are some of the cooler Lord of the Rings models, in my opinion. They've got a lot of good detail on their axes and on their armor and stuff like that. So there's some fun models. Yeah. And but if you have something like when we went to Adepticon this year, everybody with the swag bag got a bunch of Skaven, right? So So here's what you do with that Skaven half of your Stormtide that you got at Adepticon, So and the ability that I think really is makes these guys feel like they're coming out of the ground is that Cave Dwellers ability, where they count as being in solid cover, even if they normally benefit from solid cover.
Dwarven feeling.
Right.
And there's the one on the top left too is very similar. Gives you defensive power, just kind of
tenacity,
slightly different method of doing it. So you could definitely
they bring the rocks with them, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely a warband. You kind of push forward and load up some of those defensive abilities and dwarven feel to it. So yeah, I think that's a good one there. Alternate one for the dwarves. I think you could go back to Great Kingdoms too.
You can always go back to Great Kingdoms.
Yeah,
I'll say that for everything.
Well, it's perfect. The first time we're saying that.
Right.
You like your dwarves a little hittier or more straightforward, or you want to have a few more hero models running around the Great Kingdoms. You're not going to go wrong. So fit pretty well. Okay, this next one here is pretty cool.
It's fun. This is a fun one.
Never thought of this, but it's pretty sweet. Kind of makes me want to
So this is something that our friends at GW put out recently, where they cast the Army of the Dead in translucent green plastic. And
Oh,
it
really?
looks,
Okay.
oh man, it looks awesome. They are, and you barely have to paint them. You dust them with white a little bit, and you've got a fully painted army. So yeah, Aragorn and the Dead of Duinharrow. We're gonna pair up with the Otherworld, or if you have anything else that has a little bit of a spirit vibe to it, so something like the Night Haunts, or just anything that's a little ethereal. Yeah, we're going with the Otherworld on that one, and we are going to talk about doppelgangers. So I had to play against these guys at a tournament in Fort Wayne last year. And boy, this ability just really threw me for a loop. And you just get your attack dice replaced with defense dice. So if he's got that loaded up, you're thinking about it every time. You're like, well, is this the attack where he's going to use it? So I can't use a bunch of my attack dice generating stuff until he pops it, but he hasn't done it yet. He's just passing and it's still sitting there. So am I okay to play an ability now? It just messes with your head. Very much the way I feel like if you were trying to fight a bunch of spirits swirling around.
Perfect. Yeah.
Your head would be messed with a little bit too.
Basically, if you pop doppelgangers, the attacker replaces all their attack dice with defense dice. So it's actually... I've done some stupid stuff playing as the doppelgangers and still killed a lot of things despite all odds. But basically, it's going to completely shut down the enemy's attack. So thematically, that makes perfect sense if you're thinking about the ghosts or whatever. All the attacks are going to flood at certain points because these guys are spirits. They're ghosts. So I think that ability kind of perfectly encapsulates what you can do here. And, I think they really need to be said, but I'll say it. Obviously, the undead battle board could also be used to represent this. You got Aragorn. He's the warlord. Little Gimli and Legolas are sharing a base as a Black Knight or something. And then, so that would be an alternate take. The ghosts are the skeletons. They get killed. They come back. They resurrect. That makes perfect sense. So either of those boards would be perfect. I think, for the Otherworld, kind of skews towards creatures and monsters. So if you want to get kind of big stuff, it kind of really isn't in Lord of the Rings necessarily. But if that's when we're kind of thinking about Night Haunts,
night haunts or something like that, or if you've got. Let's see. I think the guy I played against, he had his stuff was like Chaos Space Marines with like wings attached to them. It was crazy,
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to those Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
So it's before we get to the end here, but All right. Next one.
Yeah. So now we're talking about the Horde. These are my guys. These are the ones that I enjoy playing the most. So of course, we're looking at the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings again. Fantastic sculpts. I remember reading that the year they came out, this is the only year that something outsold Space Marines for GW, and it was Uruk-hai.
Oh wow!
So yeah, they're cool. Great.
They were pretty ubiquitous.
They were big.
Then.
Yeah, they were big.
Towers
when they
came out. Yep. That was hot, baby.
There's a guy on a Facebook group I'm in right now. He has done the entire the whole battle sequence of Helm's Deep. He's got it all 3D printed, and I think some of it sculpted out of foam and something like that. And I'm just like, man, that is a level of dedication. If you've got some of those Uruk-hai laying around, I think they want to be Horde. And of course. And this is the models that I play a lot too. Just the classic fantasy orcs. I like the guys on the boars, and I actually pair them up with some of the goblins on the wolves too. So I treat my orcs on boars as Hearthguard, then my goblins on wolves as warriors.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing with the Horde, and we got to talk about Let the Blood Run, which got that errata that made it even better.
Yeah, so obviously charge as many units as you want. None of them should have more than one gig. Makes it seem like
should. Yeah.
You know, maybe they could. Would it be
Maybe
okay with
could.
you?
Yeah.
This exhaustive unit chart.
Right.
So yeah, perfect ability, makes perfect sense. Perfectly. Those fighting. Ruck high. Right. So the last one here, I like this alternate take. I think you're taking
this one's
here.
a little bit out of the box
goblins.
here, Rodge.
Yeah. But I think it makes perfect sense.
We're looking at the Undead Legion, but we're talking about goblins, or maybe the Flesh Eaters. Now, the Flesh Eaters, I was not too aware of until I picked up a small box of them. It was, I think, for the Underworld game or something like that. But these guys are really cool. And I think both of these have that. There's innumerable of them. They're coming out of the woodwork. They're everywhere kind of vibe.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I'm picking to represent with Tide of Reanimation, rather than literally coming back from the dead.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Mechanically, there are a few historical battle boards that kind of have this mechanic, and it's just reinforcement. You know, it's not necessarily
right.
Could be bringing guys back from the dead if you're undead, but if you're a goblin horde, well, this just means, you know, you killed 4 and whatever, 3 more goblins just showed up and joined the fight. So, it makes total sense on the goblins there. And I'm kind of thinking of those grubby hobbit goblins.
With all the gross boils. Yeah,
they're
stuff
just like
on
skin.
Perfect.
You know, kind of different than the Moria goblins.
Right.
So it's kind of like what flavor of goblins do you want to go for? You're kind of a horde of goblins, the Moria goblins, maybe use Masters of the Underearth.
Sure.
If you kind of prefer the shooting aspect, Lords of the Wild. If you're kind of this just a tide of flesh goblins that kind of rely on outnumbering their opponent to win. Which is Tide of Reanimation, the ability
Tide of Reanimation, and also the idea of the mindless as a troop choice that you can take.
Yeah,
you're just like, I just want 20 crappy little goblin models. Or you were talking about Black Death earlier. There's the Zombicide green horde game that has the zombie orcs. Oh, that would be a cool choice too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we are spoiled for choice with cool fantasy models in 2025. Fortunately for us.
So yeah, I think that covers it. So I could explain this better maybe at the beginning here, but we went through each Age of Magic faction, and we just provided examples of Lord of the Rings warbands that would fit within those, and then we couldn't help but also provide Age of Sigmar examples that would fit. So if your group likes Age of Sigmar figures, not a fan of crazy revolving rules.
Right.
The Lord of the Rings side of the equation is a lot more stable.
It is actually. I mean, it's not too bad compared to some of the other stuff. There's only been like 3 revisions in 20 years rather than 1 revision every 3 years. Like the other games
seems the
get.
less they touch it, better it gets. So, this is a kind of a good way.
Well, one difference I will talk about too, though, is that Lord of the Rings is very much a small model count game, right? Like you want to be playing with probably fewer models than a typical Saga game is.
Okay.
One of the mechanisms is that after they charge in, you're supposed to pair off the models into individual fights, and then you do a roll for each fight. So if you've got like, man, I've got 100 goblins, I don't want to try and figure that out. Well, maybe you play Saga Age of Magic with them instead.
Sure. Yeah. So maybe you want to do a big battle or something. There's nothing wrong with the rule set. You like the Lord of the Rings rule set, but you want to use
totally
twice as many figures, and you guys want to finish this afternoon, or you kind of want to bring a guy on board. He knows Saga.
Sure.
Pick up these dwarves, and then he's got them. You guys are playing Saga with Lord of the Rings models, and then you could say, all right, you got the figs. Let's try the Lord of the Rings set here. You know,
absolutely.
And we'll try it out. So a couple of advantages, I think, to that approach, and it's very cool either way. Now, what we're going to do now is get into A Song of Ice and Fire. And just like Lord of the Rings, I've seen people using Saga to play this, and like with Lord of the Rings, I've seen people they've made like a Targaryen battle board, a Lannister battle board, reskinned something or other, and even in I think in the rulebook, there's a guy who suspiciously looks like Tyrion Lannister with a bunch of Lannister guards there. You know, kind of not the movie interpretation or the TV show, but kind of more books, I would say. And so I think Saga of Ice and Fire, Simon, they got it all wrapped up. It'll never come to Saga officially, but I feel like Saga would be perfect for just the Song of Ice and Fire unit, because in the CMOD game, everything's got special rules. Everything is special. It's got its own special things, does special stuff. That's how they represent it. But for me, like a Targaryen soldier, or I'll say a Lannister soldier, he's not really any different than a Stark soldier. He's just got a different color sleeve and a patch. And so in Saga, that's perfectly represented because a warrior is a warrior, no matter what side. A Hearthguard is a Hearthguard. So the difference would come from the fighting style and the battle board, essentially. So for me, Saga would be the perfect way to represent a Song of Ice and Fire and these different troops that they come from different factions, but they're just guys. They're all medieval knights. They're using the same technology, ratchet up the fantasy aspect, different. Yeah. But for me, they're all just kind of the same guys.
And also Ice and Fire is a low magic setting, right? Yes, exactly. There's very little what we would think of as magic in Ice and Fire. So in fact, it's, the Starks are the Yorks and the Lannisters are the Lancasters, very much based on War of the Roses, right? Yeah. So when I think about Ice and Fire, the miniatures game specifically, the thing that sticks out to me is how nicely detailed the figures are at the price point.
They are excellent.
They did a great job with that.
The price, they come pre-assembled. Mm-hmm. I've got a whole Lannister Warband. I think they're great models. I use it.
They come with movement trays.
My son, that's what I use to play my 9-year-old son.
Yeah,
likes to use them. So I definitely want to get them painted someday. They're all so low totem pole. There's always something more urgent, but the price point for those, if you can get your buddies to all play Song of Ice and Fire, that's great. But
that was another one I think they gave out at Adepticon a couple of years ago. Everybody was wandering around with those big Stark versus Lannister starter sets, and it was it's just one of those things that I think a lot of people ended up with extra models of too.
Yeah, so I played that game. I think it's pretty cool. I think if everybody's like-minded, you could have a lot of fun with it. There is certainly a competitive aspect, keeping up with the facts and the updates and the latest hotness. Unfortunately, it seems like
every 6 months they redo the every 6 months they redo the cards, which I think some people like, some people probably don't. Yep. I'm a little bit more of the I don't want to have to reprint my cards every every couple of months. And I will say too that it's been kind of a slow drip with Ice and Fire. It's like they put a bunch of stuff out and then they weren't quite sure what to do with it next, and so it's been a lot of it came out and it's just been dwindling since. So again, the good side for us Saga players, you hop on eBay, you find a lot of people who are dumping armies at fractions of the cost. You're finding retailers who overbought and now they're selling them for just a little bit over what they paid for them. So the only downside, I think, for trying to use these guys in Saga is that the basic foot models are on a base size that is like slightly too big. But I think as long as your group, as long as you're both using Ice and Fire,
if you're all using those figures, and I would say, I think the infantry's is fine. I would have to double check that and see what. Just from my eye, I think they're fine. Issue is that cavalry, the quantity you get, and their base size didn't quite align with Saga. So you would prefer more traditional skinny 25 by 50.
Absolutely. And another thing you could do with the cavalry too is you could do that. This is an idea from like Dragon Rampant and Lion Rampant, right? You could do that reduced model count thing where you're like, all right, this is this is a square with 4 cavalry figures on it, but this is actually an 8-pack of warriors. And when you kill a guy, I'm going to put a little red bead on it. Then when you kill the second guy, then I'm pulling a model off. So you do something like that, and I think you're fine.
That's pretty. I never considered that. Yeah, mechanically, that would certainly be fine, especially if both people are doing that. So,
yeah, I mean, especially if both are doing the ice and fire. So for ice and fire, I have gone to pretty pure historical stuff because I think it pairs really well with it, kind of like we were talking about. It's low fantasy. So again, there's that default answer. You could always grab that Great Kingdoms board, but looking first at the Starks, I really like the Vikings board with them, and I've got 2 rationales for that. One is these really wonderful Umber Berserker figures.
Yes,
I think they come in the starter sets where it's just these big old dudes with 2 axes and they're ready to go. And so every Viking player needs his 4-pack of Berserkers, I think. So you get that with Ice and Fire in Starks in the starter set. And then, of course, the Valhalla ability, I think, is also really emblematic of sort of the tragic, the tragedy of the Starks, right? Sacrificing themselves for the greater good and the family honor and all that. I think that pairs really nicely with the idea behind Valhalla. So that's my pick for Starks if you're going to do that.
That's cool. That's a great idea. Yeah. So you think of the Vikings, kind of. Some people would think they're fast with the frig ability, double activation, but it takes a lot of Saga dice to pull off launching combo. So for me, the Vikings are kind of more methodical. Let's get close. Let's approach. They're melee based. Whether it's attack or defense, it doesn't matter to them. They're going to play the abilities the same.
Screen the Berserkers as they're going up the field. That's very important. Yeah.
I think that's a good choice. Now, I think the answer, I'm going to ask you a question, and the answer here will probably be, either way is fine to do it. But so have you played with your group using A Song of Ice and Fire?
No, we haven't.
Anything like that? Okay.
No, we haven't done this particular one-to-one. This is me kind of going through and theory crafting and making maybe some plans for the future. Although those of us in my group who do play the actual Ice and Fire game, we like it pretty well. So for me, this would be more like if somebody didn't like it, if somebody was like, oh man, that looks really cool, but I don't like that rule where I have to roll dice to see if I actually charge or not, things like that. So so this for me is a little, or at the point where all games have a cycle, right? Maybe they stop updating it, people stop being as interested in the actual game. And then I say, all right, well, let's do some of these Saga pairings since we all know how to play Saga and we've all got these Ice and Fire figures.
Got it. Makes sense. So for me, I think battle board makes sense. The interesting thing is how do you handle the equipment options?
Yes.
And so there's kind of 2 approaches here I think you could take. One, you could say, we're going to use the Vikings battle board and these were balanced a certain way. We're only going to use the equipment options for the faction that I choose. So in this instance, you go that route and everybody agrees or whatever. Then your Starks would always be on foot because the Vikings, they don't get any cavalry. That would be one way you could do it if people can't agree. But I think there's another more interesting approach would be, okay, I've just spoken about they're essentially similar troops, similar setups. They've all got knights, they've all got levies, they've all got warriors. So what you could do, which would be interesting, is say, okay, we're gonna build our armies. We're gonna choose our battle boards, but we're gonna use the same equipment options for everybody. So everybody can take Hearthguard on foot, Hearthguard that are mounted. If you want to bring in barding from some of the other
Absolutely.
ages, you could do that. You could say we're going to have warriors on foot. Warriors are mounted. You could do that. You could say we're going to play. You can't have more mounted warriors than warriors on something.
Sure. Right.
Warriors are pretty tasty. We're all going to get levies with bows and levies with crossbows, and then go back and say, well, that's interesting.
Vikings see what interactions,
cavalry. It's gonna there's gonna be new imbalances, unintended consequences. Sure. But if everybody agrees to it, you could have a lot of fun. I would love to play the Viking board with some cavalry. I feel like there was a missed opportunity there with
try it out, see what happens.
Age of Invasion. So I think that could be a cool approach. So I think either one is fine as long as everybody is on board. And if you're a newer player group, I would say probably stick with the equipment in the book. And stick with the battle boards, and I'd have a better play experience. For me as a veteran Saga player, I'm like, no, let's do it. I want cavalry with everything. Like, let's try it out. What happens if Irish get heavy cavalry or right. So I think there's either approach there. Did you think about that when you were kind of thinking out your list of stuff?
I did, and my thought process was very similar to yours. I think if I were doing this seriously with a regular group where we said we're gonna do, we're gonna test the Saga system a little bit here and see how far it stretches, I think we absolutely would find ways to include other equipment types in battle boards where they're not officially printed in the book. Just to try it out, just to play with it a little bit, to see what happens. Because I think there were maybe some missed opportunities there. And another thing I would probably do too, again, is if there was ever a feeling of, well, we really should just stick with what's printed in one of the books, that's when I would probably go, all right, well, we're going back to Great Kingdoms versus Great Kingdoms or something like that. Because again, what makes those Magic factions so cool is just the diversity of equipment and troop choices.
Yeah, you could go that route, I guess, too. I would say, if you want to stick pretty hard with the equipment options, then for the Starks, instead of the Vikings, if to you the Starks is like this combined force of cavalry, maybe you pick the Normans then, or Carolingians, or whatever faction that it's got some cav,
which leads into what we're going to talk about next.
All right, Lannisters.
That's the Lannisters, which to me are very much the Normans. When you get that starter set of Lannisters, you get guys with crossbows. That's fantastic. You get some. Let's see. Do you get some guys in horses, or do you have to buy them extra? I don't remember.
I think they're extra.
I know they're
swordsmen,
available,
and you get halberd.
The halberd guys.
What I got.
So Normans immediately stuck out to me, and of course that is the classic combination of volley fire plus wounded. That just always makes people sad, and I think represents that if you've got that whatever faction that has the bows and you want them to have that reach out and touch someone feel, I think you go for that here. Plus you've got the flexibility of some of the cavalry abilities as well.
It's perfect sense. So the Normans are basically a medieval army in the Viking age.
In the Viking age,
precursors, the prototypes coming through. So you're thinking like kind of Lannisters, maybe iconic like medieval army. I think Normans fit perfectly for that. So okay, cool. I'm kind of curious where these other ones are going to go. Baratheons?
So for the Baratheons, I'm thinking specifically of the Stannis Baratheon and his religious fervor for the
island
for the Red Lady there. So we're going with the Militus Christi on the on the Stannis Baratheons, and the one that jumped out to me. What did I write down? And I'm probably gonna let's see, where is it? Yeah, okay. So we've got the Divine Aid. The combination, right? The Orison at the top here, Horizon. I'm not sure. whatever that is at the top there.
I say Orison.
Orison plus
Third
divine
option for
aid,
everybody.
right? Orison, comboing that with divine aid, that feels very thematic for any army that's going to call upon a greater power to help them in their time of need. That works really well for me.
I think that's perfect. So thematically, his troops are like fewer in number, but they're like devoted. So, you know, mostly Hearthguard.
Maybe a fanatical edge to them a little bit.
Fanatical pilgrims or something. If you want to throw mercs or something. I don't.
Sure.
So cool. That's perfect.
And they do make a variety, again, thinking about the Ice and Fire range, they do make a variety of the red, I don't even remember what that faction is properly called, the Red Woman's Religion. They make a variety of troops that look like that, right? Like you've got, you've got just some really cool sculpts there again. And they've also come out with the Brotherhood Without Banners, which I think worships the same deity in Ice and Fire. And then you've got the guys with the flaming swords and stuff like that. So, you know, again, you know, if you were playing actual Ice and Fire, you couldn't, I don't think you really can combine things. Oh, actually, maybe you can. I think there is a way to combine stuff, but typically you can't. So if you were, if you're doing Saga, who cares, right? You like those horses over there, that's your cav. You like these knights over here, there's your foot. It doesn't matter. You're having fun. So I think for the religiously themed Baratheons, I'm going to go with the Militus Christi on that. If I was thinking the other side of the Baratheons,
Renly and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I would probably lean back towards the Normans again, because I think they got a little bit of shooting, and I should also preface a lot of the stuff I'm saying here too with I stayed away from chivalry for these picks because I don't know chivalry super well yet. It's still a little bit new to me. I haven't played against all the factions yet, so I'm sticking to the stuff where I've played it a few times and I kind of know it. But for a lot of these things, it would be very easy to do chivalry picks too.
Yeah, chivalry is just kind of giving you another 12 battle boards or whatever.
Absolutely, 12 cool battle boards too. Yeah,
and definitely. Yep. The equipment is a concern, and you don't want to just free range equipment. Then maybe you go to chivalry then, where the equipment is more closely aligned for most of the factions with knightly, what is represented in Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
We're moving around to the army I actually play in Ice and Fire. So this specifically the Dothraki Horde. And I'm going Mongols with those, of course.
All right, yeah.
And this is also where I'm talking about that reduced model count unit idea, because for my actual Mongol army in Saga, I've got a ton of it's
pretty big,
a ton of guys.
Horses are a factor, and that's a lot of flesh.
We got a lot of figures there. So for my Dothraki, I would ask my opponent, would it be all right if I counted these 4 guys as 8 guys for this battle? Just going on the way they give you 4 cav in a box. But yeah, the Mongols, and really that bow and the lance where you go up with however you activated them, whether you get the activation from the drummer or whether you're buying the activation with dice, you get them up there, and then you do your shot, and then you pull them back with bow and the lance. That's that's that classic. The horse archers are retreating. Clearly, we should run after them. Mistake that commanders always make. So I think the Mongols fit really well there.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Other one would be the Huns. I mean, obviously similar composite bows. I don't think the Mongols get them. Maybe they do, but the Huns definitely get the no special equipment levy troops. Oh,
so for like me, the 4/4 magic levy, is that it?
Yeah. If you're thinking about, she has those like slave. Yeah. Thematically, absolutely. It doesn't fit because those guys are supposed to be badasses. But if you want to get in those like spearmen from the slave cities, if your force consists of both of those. Otherwise, if you're just going like think of their name. Those like spearmen that are super elite. You just go Greek city states, the Spartans.
Unsullied. Oh yeah,
the Unsullied.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Unsullied
it.
Spartans, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's your vision of the Targaryens, that work out well, and you can even get a small unit of javelin guys. You can work in your Dothraki figures that way. Spartan list. So perfect. Right. You got some options here, but what did you think for the free folk?
So for the free folk, the pagan peoples seemed like a really, really natural thing. And again, we're talking about that. Let's see. Yeah, we're talking about the terrain interaction again. And I know I'm going to screw up the pronunciation. Mezzamate?
I say.
What do you say?
Mezzamate.
Mezzamate. There we go.
That's right, but that's what I said.
Yeah. So we're well, let's see. Rodge, do you play these guys? Do I remember that right?
Yeah, I've played.
Yeah, why don't you tell us what you do with them and that kind of fit. This was a few years ago. You and I played at Adepticon one time, and I think you were playing these guys.
Oh, okay. I've taken them a couple times. I don't remember that offhand, but I played a lot of games of Saga.
You've played a lot of games of Saga, man.
I think this perfectly encapsulates them. You take some bow guys. I know they have bow troops. They have lots of levy with javelins. So you're saying, the quality of these troops doesn't match the heavy warriors of the other lands. These are levy. It's kind of a horde army. Our friend of the show, Davey, he does play the free folk, and sometimes he'll come over and he's got the horde. So if those are primarily levy for you, you can do a big, massive horde. But then they have some heavy hitters, so you can take heavy weapon warriors with the pagan peoples and teleport them. It's not a lot of defense, but you can certainly make them hit pretty hard. Right. So I think that's a good choice.
Yeah,
for those guys.
And if you've got the giants and you just love the giants and you really want to do something with them, then we're talking about going back to Magic and maybe they're the horde, maybe they're the undead, kind of like we were talking about how the goblins just keep coming. Maybe the free folk just keep coming, and they got a couple of giant behemoths with them. So there's a lot of options there.
Goes to your group and how you guys want to represent that, because I would say there's nothing wrong playing. Trying to think of all the repercussions of this, but the pagan peoples, including an elephant, which is the mammoth rider.
Why not? Why not? Try it out.
I think it really, once you play it against them, they'll say, "Oh, we shouldn't have done this." But thematically, how do you want to represent that? I would say the easier way. The elephant rule has a lot of special rules, and it's very peculiar, but. Do you work in creatures from Age of Magic or a monster?
Sure.
Say they have a giant. Sure, you can take a Titan from Age of Magic in the free folk list. Nobody else can take a Titan except the Targaryens can maybe take a Scourge if you've got your dragon models.
They could take 3 Scourges maybe.
3, yep. So it depends how frisky you guys want to get, but
I think if you're doing this kind of stuff, you're already at that edge of the game anyway.
Yeah.
So why not go all the way and have some fun with it?
Who are you guys kidding? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Bring it in. So I like the idea. Something about specifically an elephant with pagan peoples. I need to. After we're done here, I'm going to go back.
You're going to do some theory crafting, aren't you, Rodge?
Coffee, get the battle board, get the rules out, and what havoc can we cause?
Good.
So. That's pretty cool. Now, their opponents on the other side, the Night's Watch. Who did you have lined up against?
So we are looking at the Invasions Romans here. And
cool.
That is specifically because they can take the ballista.
That's what I was thinking. On the walls,
really cool model.
Blasting them from the walls. So.
The Night's Watch actually have 2 options. They've got the ballista, and then they've got a really cool catapult model. So whichever you happen to pick up, there it is. You're ready to rock with it. And also, I felt like the combined formation ability felt like something kind of like the Night's Watch. Again, they're on the wall. some guys are at the front, some guys are shooting over them. That works really well for me thematically.
They're disciplined, you know, they like work
Yes.
together. They have to maintain, you know, the impetus kind of transforms into like a discipline level kind of thing to me in this instance. And as long as, you know, everything's sticking together, they can hold out against hordes. So yeah, I think that's a great choice. That's fun.
And there's also the kind of the desperate oath vibe that the Night Watch have, right? Like the scene in the show where the giant's crashing through the tunnel and all the guys are chanting their oath as the giant's coming. There's a lot of things on this board that just kind of feel like that to me, right? Like the in this sign conquer ability, or the adversity ability, or, you know, just some of these things that thematically I think fit with these Romans as the empire was winding down a little bit.
That's cool. Right.
All right.
Couple more here. Greyjoy. Yeah.
We're almost done with Ice and Fire now, but the Greyjoy are super cool. And I don't see people playing Norse Gales very often, so that's going to be my recommendation here. I think they deserve a second look. I think they're an overlooked Viking era faction. And one reason I picked them is they both have that from the islands background, right? Mm-hmm. So the Greyjoys, they're in their little islands off the coast of, you know, Westeros there, and that's where the Norse Gales were coming in from as well.
Definitely a Viking vibe, and Norse Gales, you know, kind of have a little nautical vibe for me. You know, they got there by boat, they got there somehow. Mm-hmm. And they do have like a lot of javelin troops, so you can kind of picture kind of the light arms that like seamen that the Greyjoys are chucking harpoons and nets and little axes and daggers and stuff like that. So having javelins represent that, I think, makes perfect sense. And then they did that. They got like slaves, and they're not nice to them, which
perfect for the Greyjoys
is not very much aligned with that. So thematically, that makes sense. You just kind of you can do the Norse Gales a couple different ways, but you can definitely just have like elite Hearthguards, a badass warlord, just a bunch of little peons.
Oh yeah, if you want to have a badass warlord, man, this is a good faction to do it with. That King of the Isles is a really cool ability. The one that stuck out to me, it's kind of simple, but it's that Howling Axes, combining that with the way that their combat bonus works is really cool. If you can use other abilities to stack up their combat bonus, and then you just let that Howling Axes rip, I mean, you're looking at Viking level berserkers at that point, I think.
That's cool. All right. The Martells here. You got a couple different options.
We do.
All good.
I landed on the Carthaginians for the Martells.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That one's,
because we've got the thematic look going, right? It would be really easy if you had some Carthaginian figures or some Martell figures. It would be very easy to confuse them. They've got the look. And then the one that I really liked on the Carthaginian board that kind of screamed Martell to me was the delay ability. And that's because if you read up on Ice and Fire, the Martells were the ones who never really conquered.
They didn't show up until book 4, you know?
Yeah, they call it the Seven Kingdoms, but the Martells were never really properly conquered. They always held out. And anytime, and I love this, anytime they would try and go into their city, they would even fly the dragon into their city. Everybody had left the city and they were all hiding in the hills and they couldn't find them. And so to me, that fits with that delay ability really good. So I think we've got a good look going on here. And I think that ability and some of the other stuff too, but specifically that idea of just canceling what your opponent's trying to do. That's another one of those where it's like, it's out there, it's on the board. Your opponent isn't using it at the moment, but you have to, it's like that doppelganger thing, right? You're thinking about it. You're like, man, if I want to get that unit, I'm going to have to hit him with 2 different units to even get one proper attack off because he's got delay and I don't know which one he's going to do it on. So, it's a cool thing. And I think it fits their style really well.
That's cool. Yeah. Box on that one. That's interesting. So Tua kind of if you think about the citizen or contingent aspect, then
Sure.
you're like, okay, well, how do we work around that? Because the board
Sure.
abilities matter depending on which it is.
Right.
So again, it's going to kind of come to you and your buddies to kind of agree. So I think something easy to do would be, well, the citizens are all mounted. Those are the
Sure.
like elites.
Yeah.
Anything on foot is a contingent, and you just kind of play it that way. So that would be an easy
Yep.
way. If these battle boards kind of have some extra rules or something that doesn't really necessarily fit the theme of
Sure.
Martel's a citizen contingent thing, but you're just kind of we'll work around it, and we'll use this.
Right.
We're just farting around, we're having fun. So
Yep.
is it good or not? Who knows? But so that's for folks at home, thinking about adapting these to other
Right.
settings and themes like that. You're going to run into stuff like that. So just try to work around it. You're going to run into stuff. For me, I would say the Martels are always kind of shown as kind of lighter equipped, lighter
That's right.
armored than the other ones. And so you kind of think hit and run type stuff, Spanish, I think could work. The Moors
Oh yeah.
could work.
Absolutely.
The Iberians, any battle board that is a Iberian theme on it seems to have a hit and run aspect to it. So
It does, yeah.
any one of those.
The Iberians have that really cool ability where the unit of cav can pick up a unit of infantry and pull them with them. I think that's so cool.
If you think about how that battle board work,
Yeah.
like knights and stuff like that, if you're using the
Sure.
combined equipment option, crossbows and stuff like that, it's really interesting. Talk to local guys into doing this somehow so we can have some fun. But
and this is all about finding ways to have fun with models that you like, maybe models that you already own. Just getting more stuff to the table and rolling more dice and laughing more and having more fun. That's what this whole exercise is all about here for me.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put you on the spot. It wasn't on your list, and I kind of know why it's not in the game. But the White Walkers and the Horde of Undead. What would you?
Oh man, it's a tough one. I actually probably what I will do is I will spoil a future choice, and so this will be for a later conversation. But I picked the Persians for the Necrons from 40K. Again, for that,
we're getting the 40K people, but it's not this episode. But
it's not this episode; it'll be the next episode. But that whole they keep coming thing, the Persians have that rule. And thinking about the White Walkers and some of the, I think the Persians do an elephant. I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
There you go. So elephants may be your big undead dragon thing or whatever you want to call it. I see a lot of thematic similarities there. Of course, the magic undead stuff.
That's one where you could say
we're
using historical boards for all these, and then somebody wants to play those. You're going to use the undead board from Magic as like a one-off mixed in. So
and they never made these guys for the Ice and Fire game. There are some STLs out there that I think another company called Night Models. Night Models put out the STLs for them. Night Models put out a whole line of Game of Thrones.
That's right. There was like a big thing in my mini factory.
That's right, and they're beautiful and they're really nice, and they are based more on The Ice and Fire Miniatures game is specifically based on the books. They got the book license. The Night Models STL partnership thing is based on the TV show.
Yeah, they look like that.
So if you're going, well, I really need my Daenerys Targaryen model to look exactly the way she looked in the TV show. You're looking at the Night Model STL. And then there's a third source for Game of Thrones Ice and Fire.
Oh, the old school,
models.
the original.
That's the old dark swords. Yeah. The metal dark swords, which are fantastic, beautiful sculpts, but you're getting into a pretty high per model price there. So I wouldn't do that for a whole army. I'd do that for maybe for a hero or something like that.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah,
they had like
I don't even know if they
like
did
units of troops.
Yeah,
Like
they didn't even do units. I think it was all
like
heroes.
Pole arms, but the Saga Thursday mascot is a dark sword miniature at the start of every video.
Nice.
He's one of the wildlings.
Yeah.
So what is? I think he gets killed in the books. Cool. I mean, but you can say that about a lot of characters. He would be correct.
Yeah. Right. So for the White Walkers, I think you've got a lot of cool options out there. In fact, if I remember right, this was in Saga First Edition, but they put out a Saga
the Revenants or something.
The Revenant box. Yes. Yeah. So that would be a good. Then I think we're really leaning into the Age of Magic mindless army at that point. If you wanted to do I want to have 20 undead dudes in a big group, you got to go for that mindless. That's really cool. But there's a lot of good options to represent the White Walkers on the table too, I think. Yeah,
I think any kind of Horde army might work. Of like Levantine Crusaders, just these garbage troops, but they activate a lot, fatigue free.
Yeah, there you go. Sure.
With like some Hearthguard as the White Walkers or something like that. So, you can multiple ways you can do it without having explicit like resurrection necessarily presented on the battle board. Right. So, in the books, the show, they kill stuff.
Yep.
Doesn't come back till that guy comes back. And
that's right.
Raises his hand. So he
takes him a minute to do it, right?
Yeah, it takes him a while. He's not there. Wait for it to happen. So awesome. Yeah. Well, we went through those in quite a bit of detail. We're going to touch on some of the historical ages that haven't been touched yet, but hopefully someday they will be. And so this is going to be kind of more of a general broad scope, but just kind of based off kind of the things that we've been talking about. We're going to talk about samurai. So, and specifically for me. And so, if they ever come out with a book, they're going to have to figure out the scope. But I'm thinking of like the Sengoku Jidai, like on mainland Japan. So you could think about, they were invaded by the Mongols twice. They went to Korea twice. You could imagine the Waco pirates, the Chinese, fighting against the Mongols. You could have like a greater source book where the Japanese are part of that. But for this conversation, I'm kind of thinking of specifically Shogun, Total War. I don't know. Have you played it, James?
My game that was similar to that was called Kessen on the PlayStation 2.
Okay, I've heard of that.
When I was that age, I didn't have a really souped up gaming computer that could run the cool stuff. So I was gaming on my budget PlayStation 2 there. But it had that exact vibe, and it was the Tokugawa, the unification of Japan, all that. That's that game's storyline that you go through. You play as Tokugawa Ieyasu, and it was really cool. And that's definitely. I think that when I'm assuming when they do a Saga Samurai book, it's going to be a real hot seller.
I believe it's officially in the way. I can't remember, what I've said or not at this point, but it'll be here someday. Maybe that's big news. I swear that I've said that before. So,
well, there's a picture of it in the rule book, isn't there?
Yeah. So we know it's coming.
That's right.
Not anytime soon. So
do we want to talk about an alternate board option for that though?
What did you? I'll let you speak. What did you?
If I were doing Samurai, just based on what's available today, I would lean into the Yams Vikings. And there's two reasons there. One is that you can do a low model count two-handed weapon force. So if you and I've actually played against this, and it was a pretty effective army. You can just roll in with 24 Hearthguard that all have two-handed weapons, and that's gonna kick a lot of butt. The other thing that I like about the Yams Vikings is that it puts a cognitive load on your opponent, because your opponent is always trying to think, do I give him the Wrath tokens or not? Well, he's got something loaded up on Song of Steel. So if I give him the Wrath tokens, then he gets to activate. If I don't give him the Wrath tokens, he's wasting his die, but then he's being more efficient here. And it's just this extra mental puzzle that your opponent has to figure out that you don't even have to think about that much as the odds player. And the reason that that lines up with Samurai for me is that if you were encountering Samurai and you had never fought them before, and we're doing a little bit of a fantasy what if thing here, right? But imagine some of these knights from England end up fighting Samurai. They would have no idea what's going on and what they're facing. You know, this would be such a completely different fighting style from what they're used to. So to me, that cognitive load sort of represents the difficulty of fighting something that's just so different and unknown to what they're used to fighting. Cool.
Yeah,
that's my pick there.
Brought this up. So one thing I gotta say, Song of Steel, perfect Saga ability name to represent something in the Samurai way. Yeah, oh, man. Yeah, you're kind of coming at this from a different way that I hadn't even considered, which is, so we've talked about kind of doing themed settings of Saga. We're doing a Song of Ice and Fire theme. We're doing a Lord of the Rings theme to our games. Play each other using our themed armies. So you kind of brought up, so like if you wanted to use Samurai and come down to the Saga Club, and so this is like a legitimate issue and a concern, actually, I think that comes up, where we're playing Age of Vikings, we got our Vikings warbands, and you got your Samurai, and you want to play with us, but there's no Samurai rules. What do you do? Okay, so think about it like, okay, well, I think this kind of represents, to me, I think this represents what it would be to play against the Samurai. So I'm going to use the Vikings board. I'm going to use my Samurai models, and we're going to have this. Many Saga matchups aren't particularly historical. Irish, the Byzantines.
Well, especially when you get into, like, you know, a lot of the big tournaments, they're doing 4 or 5 books all combined at this point. So we're doing wildly ahistorical matchups already in Saga.
Yeah, nothing.
So what's throwing in one more, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing, you know, some people, that would be a step too far, you know, really get their goat or whatever. But, you know, if you're being inclusive, you want, this guy's not going to play unless, and we got Bill here. He says he's not going to play unless he can play Samurai. It's like, okay, we'll figure it out. Vikings board. Absolutely. With Samurai. So you could think about, you know, Aztecs, stuff that, like, someday maybe, you know, hopefully they'll be touched on officially, but I've got an Aztec army that I want to bring to it. So for me, you know, I think Saxons from Age of Invasions, just off the top of my head. It's aggressive, gets in your face.
Sure.
Whatever, you could choose 5 other ones that would also work. Oh man,
we could do a whole video on Middle American armies. Yeah, absolutely.
I hadn't even considered that aspect. So you're talking about that. So for me, kind of how I was coming at it was, again, we're doing a Samurai theme with our club. So we're all Samurai.
Got it.
Where, you know, I'm Hojo, Takeda, the other, Shogun Total War. If you need inspiration, just log in, get it going. Yeah. It's $5 game for the second one now, I'm sure.
Can't beat that.
So for me, I'm thinking about that setting. Well, how would I do that? Hopefully there'll be a book someday, but we want to do it now. So I would actually, for me, I would probably choose, I'd say, let's do, for some reason, Age of Chivalry, having those factions represent the different clans. So
they've got the 2-handed weapons built in, and they've got the slightly heavier armor already built in the rules too.
Yeah, that's most of the equipment option is there. The interesting thing is the firearms. So there's no crossbows, but you could swap those in for firearms. And absolutely. You could use the Age of Magic firearms rules, which have been well documented, well play tested. Seem to be fair. People prefer the crossbows. So honestly, slipping in the firearms, you know, something that's less desirable is perfectly fine. The book has its own firearms rules in the back. for chivalry. There's a mercenary handgunner unit that could be the template.
Perfect.
Interesting thing would be extrapolating that to a unit of levy. I think it would be fine, but it would be up to your group to decide how you want to represent that. I mean, you could just say only warriors like that unit type can take the firearms, and we're all using the same equipment choices. So for me, that's kind of how I would do it. And then, I want to play a shooting type clan. Sure, these clans are known for different things that are primarily archers. I'll take the English.
Yeah.
I want to be an aggressive type clan, focused on melee, and then the warlord is badass. So I'm going to play the French board for that. So you're just kind of really just choosing which battle board represents to you what that clan means to you. And
absolutely,
if you dig into the fluff, you could justify this is an aggressive clan or a defensive clan. Like that, off the top of my head, I can't say, but that would be awesome to do if you had a couple like-minded guys. And then similarly, we're getting kind of long here, so I'll just kind of speed along. We got a couple more things to do. Bronze Age. So going back to Scropha Miniatures.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if they would touch on the Bronze Age at some point, but that one would be, again, every one of those factions seem to have chariots. So that would kind of come back to me as, okay, we just got to decide what kind of chariots we're all going to use. And that could be as simple as everybody can take Indian light chariot rules, like a point of those if they want, or the heavy chariots that the Carthaginians or the Indians use. So I'd leave there's Gaul chariots, there's Scythe chariots. I would just leave those aside. Everybody can take some chariots, and then maybe stick to that Alexander and Hannibal factions. They're the closest in time. I don't think you necessarily need to. If phalanx fighting was kind of a thing, I think it kind of was actually. Maybe you kind of picture blocks of spearmen.
Yeah.
So I do the phalanx rules and stuff. How do those interplay? I'd have to think about it a little more, but you could definitely have a group of like-minded guys. I got the Hittites and the Syrians and the Egyptians. See people's coming in, and I'm using this board, that board, this one. We're all using the same chariots. Kind of core principles and going at it. So definitely wanted to mention that one specifically.
There's so much unexplored potential in the Bronze Age. And one thing I really appreciate about Saga, and this can be a little bit of a tough needle to thread, but Saga treats each faction, their religion or their mythology or whatever, as if it were real, as if they were all real simultaneously, and the thing that each people group believes, it's true to them, it's inspiring them. So it's reflected in the battle board typically somehow, right? Like you got references to Thor in the Viking board, and we were talking about the Militz Christi earlier, and I like that Saga takes that approach. So I could see something where you would have maybe some Israelites throwing out some plagues or a pillar of fire or something like that, and then you could have some Egyptians with Ra and Anubis and a little bit of that just in the background, right? Just powering some of those abilities. I think that could be really cool, and opportunity for some really cool modeling stuff there too.
Yeah, so definitely get you excited about potential new Saga supplements on the way there.
I'm just thinking of this awesome metal figure I've seen of Moses, with his arms out, and maybe you throw in like that chasm ability from the wait, who has that? Is that the Under Earth board? Something like that.
Crossing.
Something like that. Maybe that's parting a sea. I don't know. That's what's cool about these sort of thought experiments and putting different things together, is it just opens up a lot of possibilities for getting your hobby goodness out there and getting the models that you want to play on the table.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the core Saga mechanics and the way the battle boards works. I think are pretty well for reskinning and for thinking outside the box. And there's a bajillion battle boards and settings and stuff. We got enough already, so we don't necessarily need any more. But
Yeah.
If your gaming group is motivated to kind of tackle one of these themes, Song of Ice and Fire, Lord of the Rings, Samurai, Bronze Age, could do like New World stuff.
Oh yeah.
Maya, Aztec, Toltec, Zapotec.
And there's a really good line of figures for that too.
Amazonians,
that'd be awesome.
There's all, you could do a whole like New World type setting if you guys were all interested. And with 3D printing and STLs, there actually is like a fair amount of model selection.
Oh yeah.
As far as kind of, we would have historically been kind of niche type things.
Right. Yeah.
There's getting to be quite a few. Wargames Atlantic is pumping out something like every 3 days or something.
Oh my gosh. They're unstoppable over at Wargames Atlantic. I don't know when they sleep. And you've also got, speaking of the pre-Columbian America stuff, you've got Warlord did a whole metal range for 4 factions out of that. That was the what did they call that? That was that Erawan game.
Okay. I think I've heard of that.
That was the base system. It's based on bolt action, and then they added this this Mythic America vibe to it. That was really cool. And then that company eventually kind of spun off into their own thing, and they make they do 3D printed figures now, and they have the Inuit and the Taino and
so
the plains natives and all that kind of stuff. It's awesome. They're awesome figures, and they bring in that mythology element. So you've got I don't know, just all kinds of interesting stuff. So if that's your jam, there are models out there that are waiting for you to paint them.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Well, believe it or not, we only got halfway through the
that's right. That was our list. Yep.
You have provided, and you referenced earlier, we are even going to get to 40K.
We're going to keep going.
Star Wars, Civil War, Napoleon. Basically, we kind of split it off at guns.
Yes.
And samurai on not gun side, even though. So that'll be interesting because that's something I never really considered until you brought it up with the list here, and kind of talking with Alex personally, or maybe I imagine this, or where's the cutoff line for Saga?
Sure.
I think traditionally it's kind of in guns, gun has taken over. So Saga's primarily a melee game. Does it make sense if you have all this shooting? So I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on this. So we're going to do a part two to this, dealing with that. It's going to be Saga
with guns. That's what we'll call it, Rodge.
Yes. You're kind of in the rotation now. So we're going to have Tristan next month, and then Brendan will come back. Monty is in there somewhere. He's coming back for one more. And then you will return and we'll have a part 2. But before then, we'll have you on to talk about the Spartans. But that's interesting. We're only partway done. And I can even, there's a couple avenues that thinking could be offshoots of that next discussion. It could blow up. But that's going to be it for the main topic for now. We are... we got to talk about the Warband building challenge. It's called Unfinished Business. So, finished business for this recording here. But that took place this summer, and it was June, July, and August. And the theme of that was picking up Warband that wasn't quite done. You started, never finished, or you have a Warband and you want to turn it into another one. I've got an Irish Warband. I want to turn it into a Norse scale. Nice.
And
so this was for the patrons only. It was 3 months, doing roughly a point per month, kind of whatever goal you set for yourself. So I participated, and we'll see my figures coming up as well. And the participation was a little low, but everybody that participated seemed to get a lot out of it, because I wouldn't have painted anything at all this summer, James, if it wasn't for this challenge here. And it
Good.
seemed like that was the case with other folks. And so I don't, are you kind of like a seasonal hobbyist or like a year round? Does it matter?
I am a deadline hobbyist. So
Okay, yeah.
this is literally how I get stuff done sometimes. I will sign up for events that I don't have an army painted for.
Yeah.
And I'll go, well, I'm signed up to play in the event. I'm going to paint something in the next couple months, weeks, days. I need to take a day off work. I don't know. So that's how I do it pretty often. I actually did a personal challenge in June for myself. I painted one figure from start to finish every night, and I did that through June and ended up with 30 figures that way. They were all from different genres and just stuff I had laying around. I was like, man, I really need to get to that dude, but whatever. So yeah, I give myself goals that have consequences if I don't meet them, because otherwise I will just goof off and mess around and not get stuff done.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I like that figure a day challenge.
One per day. I had them all primed, so I didn't do any priming. It was just they're already
kind of ready to go.
They're already primed but ready to go. That was kind of fun.
It could go pretty fast. I mean, if you got your wet palette out and your paints from yesterday,
contrast paints.
Good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cool. So we're going to take a look at everybody's handiwork. Yes. Window. It's good. All right. We are Discord here in the Warband. Patreon only. You guys getting a sneak peek section. All right. So yeah, basically people are posting over the three months or so. And so the first one finisher was Matthias with his pikemen. And I think this is just part of a larger force. And so I think he did a great job. He's got a cool photo backdrop, and the rock that they're all standing on seems to match the facing scheme. So this is awesome. Looks like Perry Plastics here, and that is quite a horde of pikemen. Nicely done, Matthias.
Sticking with the pointy end there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you have the Perrys in stock at your store, James?
We do, and one of the reasons that I started my shop is that when I got into Saga, I found myself wanting to buy not necessarily the quantities that came in the box. So when my good friend Rusty and I decided to get this going, we said we're going to sell these things by the sprue whenever we can. And the Perrys have been a good seller for us. People really like those true scale, almost 25 millimeter sculpts that the Perrys do. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we sell them by the sprue, and I have trouble keeping them in stock, especially when Chivalry came out. We went through a lot of the foot knights and things like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have a link to your web store, Firelands Games, right?
Firelands Games, that's right. Yep.
Games. Okay. Yeah, you can buy them off the sprue. We've mentioned you before, but we'll make it again before we call her quits here.
Sure.
But the next one up is Sagas of History, and he finished off quite a horde here.
Yeah.
And this is Anglo-Dane, probably Saxon force, just judging by the number of figures here. These ones look like the Victrix boys, so well done. I think he might have us beat on quantity, but does a great job with his shields. Looks like a lot of them are hand painted.
I'm seeing some hand painting on there, I think, and it's a really, man, it's the shields that really do it for the Dark Ages guys. Typically, if you've got a good knack for shields, makes your guys just really pop, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this one is blue, yellow, red. It's got dots.
Cool.
I think might be a couple transfers in here, or maybe you paint over the transfers to make people think that you did.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can chime in Sagas of History. I think some definitely are completely hand painted. I'm just looking at this green one, and it's blue and yellow. It's pretty. Oh, I don't know.
Pretty cool.
The forks on this.
If they are transfers, he's so happy that we're saying they're hand painted right now.
Yeah, there's slight imperfections which make it seem like he did. Yeah, maybe.
Sure.
I think he did actually hand paint them all. I take back my accusation.
Yeah.
history. Nicely done.
Either way, nicely done shields. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Speaking of shields, Alderman Andrews, I think he quite finished, but he has these awesome Spanish with the black and white shields.
Very cool.
And I know he posted another picture below, so so did Fool in a Hat. So the Wild Dog, another point to Warriors. So he got 3.5 points of Warriors done. And Manuballista, and that ballista looks cool. Looks like a little like MDF contraption from the days of yore. The shields look great here, hand painted. It's looking force. Nicely done. That red is popping, baby.
Yeah, he got some really good shading and blending on the bottom of those shields I'm seeing there. That looks really nice.
And then it looks like could be 3D printed now, but these were always resin bases in my Warhammer time. Right. So you don't see this a lot in Saga with custom resin, or I guess even if it is, it might be 3D printed and it might be resin, but it might not be resin and it might be 3D printed. So a couple different options here. Very, very cool.
Either way, it looks awesome.
Yeah. Nice colors. The tan, brown, looks like a Roman force. Looks like I'll be there, but they're contractually obligated. Bjorn, 3 points of camel cataphracts and 2 baggage camels. King of the camels.
Goodness.
Bequeath upon they. So these are awesome.
Yeah, camels are such a thematic, flavorful, interesting addition. Whenever you can get one in an army, it's always cool.
These are cool. So, for upcoming Parthians, here's a photo of my guys. We'll take a closer look at the end on mine. Matthias, okay, so the picture of the levy that he painted that goes along with the rest of the warband. So, this is awesome. Green, very dark green, yellow, stick and natural. Looks like it's mostly Perry's here. Perry Plastics. I've been gluing these together. Crazy. Those are very. Do you have a Chivalry warband started yet, James?
I do. My Chivalry warband is going to be the French, and I am using Bretonian models, but I'm going to modify them so that they are a little bit less. I'm going to take off any fantasy elements and put them in more classically medieval vibes. And I'm going to try. I don't know how well this is going to work, but this is an idea I've had in my head for a minute. The Pegasus that is rearing back on the rock. I'm going to try and magnetize his wings so that I can use him as a Pegasus. Yeah, I can use him as a Pegasus when I'm doing fantasy stuff, and then I can use him as just kind of a big rearing horse for my French there. So I think that's going to be what I'm going to end up doing, because I got that big Bretonian box as soon as they released that recently for the old world.
Nice.
Wasn't super interested in the rules, just wanted the cool models that I always liked from back in the day. Cool to see those in production again.
And a Fool in a Hat's undead army here, and these knights are like awesome.
Oh yeah,
kind of like a mantic vibe from these models. I don't know if they are or not, but very cool. Big creatures for Age of Magic. Yeah, it's
great.
It's tough to land a skeletal horse with. Well,
yeah,
kind of the magical feel.
I like that kind of light green, maybe almost a teal that he got on the armor there. That looks kind of oxidized. I like that a lot.
Yeah, crawled up.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, oxidized bronze armor. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, going back to the Elderman here. So it wasn't just the Cav getting those black and white shields, going to town, scratch zebra marks on it. So Cool. I like the orange, yellow, the brown, kind of warm, contrasting with the cold black and white shields. It's pretty cool.
I'm a big fan of those little flower tufts that he used on the bases there. That's a nice way.
It's a
tie
signature
things
DJ
together
at this point. The flower tuft, signature move.
It's a good one. It's always good when you can add just a little bit of a blood splatter on top of the flowers too. I'm a big fan of that personally.
Oh, great looking photos here. Great backdrop.
That's great. Yep.
Got up my game. Their Warband done. Look how many cav that is. 1, 2, 3.
The entire Spanish Warband. That's what we're looking at there.
That's 4, 28, 20.
Lots of horsies.
There's obligatory crossbows. It's very, very nicely done.
Cool.
Patrick 007. He's a little late, but just a couple points of Javelin Warriors.
Cool.
And to sneeze at here. These are pretty cool. There's look like they're metal to me.
I'm kind of getting Gripping Beast vibes from these for some reason. Just that they like to do that little 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot up a little bit. They have that in their poses a lot, but maybe I'm wrong about it.
Right. The Bjorns, it's kind of the work in progress photos. Now we got the finished ones. And that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. The cataphracts, the super long lances.
That's super cool. He really stuck the landing with the bases there. The bases are really popping for me. They look great. Yeah,
it's kind of one of those realistic kind of rubble mixes. Luke Sapias, maybe, or there's different kinds out there. So depending on the figures, they can look too natural to me sometimes, or just right.
Yeah,
these ones are just right.
These are right on the money. These look really good.
Nicely done.
Yep.
Nice work, guys. Saga's history. After the facts, snuck in another point. Warriors got him up. So, yeah, nicely done, guys. Now, Coyote trying to sneak in here. He didn't participate in the challenge, but he thought he would post his stuff anyways. Why would we want to look at these beautiful? It's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. Nobody would want to see these handsome figures.
That's definitely Victrix I'm seeing there. I recognize.
Put this out here, Coyote. It makes me. We need a Warband showcase, so just be careful. Careful what you're doing here. Okay, for me, we'll round it out. My guys is just odds and ends. So I had a couple hero figures. I had a couple Rodge figures I needed to finish, and then the Shield Maidens, and then just some random figure. I needed a couple plastic Gripping Beast Dark Age Warriors in there. The rest of my force was mostly metal. So I was just kind of doing odds and ends to basically round out the Heathen army. So the Grand Heathen army started 2019. I'm officially calling it complete. Now the issue is, Hearthguards are okay. I could get some new ones. I've been eyeing up the Gripping Beast Varangian Guard with the heavy weapons. I think are pretty cool. Maybe I should add those. So I'm not.
There's some really good Fireforge ones too.
Out. So we'll see. But at this point, I'm happy. I'm kind of done. A couple things.
Cool.
When I started, I was a spring chicken. I could paint all the faces. Now I am 43 and doing some of the faces at the very end. Like each batch seemed to get a little more difficult. So I'm probably done painting eyeballs on models. But for these ones, I did so, and I'm kind of, they got a certain look to them. Really happy, whenever I take them out, how they look. I've got 5 points of warriors now, so I can do a huge Viking warband, and gotta have the berserkers. So 5 points of warriors is all you need. But I can do quite a few different warbands, and I want to give a shout out to the manufacturers. And I went through, and there's so many different manufacturers here.
Just all over the place, huh?
So I want to give a shout out here. Yeah. So there's Gripping Beast metals in here, Yams Vikings, and then a couple plastic. A couple of the Horsemen are plastic. Forgot about that. And a couple of plastic Dark Age Warriors. Some Reconquer Designs in here. The Rodges are the special Patreon only Rodges he sculpt. I got some metal Medberry miniatures in here, some that he gave me, and then some that I purchased through his Kickstarter. I've got Wargames Atlantic. I've got some of the plastic Saxon Warriors for some of my Dark Age, or some of the Warriors, and then some prints. They have some Shield Maidens that somebody printed them and gave them away at one of my tournaments, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna take a couple of these for myself.
Cool.
Brother Vinny, a lot of the female models are Brother Vinny, but some of them are Bad Squiddos as well. There's a Foundry figure in there, the big fat guy with the axe.
He's awesome.
Yeah, that's like
so cool.
That's a skeleton hand weapon axe from like the original Warhammer plastic skeleton kit. And I like how it's just a single hand weapon in the skeleton kit, and then in Saga it's a comedically absurdly huge, way too big axe, but it fits perfectly on that Foundry figure. There's some V&V miniatures as well, all the Levy, a lot of the Warriors, some of the Hearthguard models. There's a War Hansa miniature. Now I don't even think they do toy soldiers, but I don't even think they make miniatures anymore. But my kind of Lagerta Warlord that I use for everything, like in every battle, is a War Hansa miniature. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9 different manufacturers represented. So I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of another way to do it. Usually people got to dial in to, we're just going to use Victrix. Sure. We're just going to use Gripping Beast or Parry, but another way to do it is just use everything. And then it doesn't matter if it matches, because nothing matches anything else. So cool. So cool to finally be done with those guys. Still got plenty of models to paint though.
So you do a couple different factions with these guys, I take it? That's kind of the joy of Saga, is buy one and play many?
Yeah, so these are pagan peoples. Yeah. I've run them as Eastern Princes. You can see a wagon in the big box. I've used them as there's like a back of the book faction, Old Friends, New Enemies, Pagan something or other in Age of Crusades. I've used them as, where they use the Saxon board. I use them as Germanic peoples, Vikings, Yams Vikings, Pagan Ruse. I've used them as Norsgales. So off the top of my head, that's what I've used them for. But cool. I've also used them. I've used them for Goths and for maybe Goths, but Lombards. No, I use my other guys. Lombards. You could use these for Lombards, but yeah, just a huge multi-faction force. Started way back when. This is actually my second Saga Warband that I've started. And I've got a lot more now. So many were finished before these guys were finished. But yeah, really, really happy with how it all turned out, and glad to be done.
It feels good to get a whole army finally finished, doesn't it?
Honestly, it doesn't. I'm always adding stuff, so it's a rare proclamation coming from here. Card. Now, one thing that somebody's going to get is Andrew over at Medberry Miniatures. He sent me a bunch of metal of his Vendel Vikings. He was kind of doing a Kickstarter a while back. He sent me over to me. So some of them I used, some of them I painted and given away. And so some of these, this pile here is going to go to one of these people who participated and completed the challenge. So it's not a long list of people. What I'm not prepared for right now is to do the drawing. I did not think of that. So this will be forthcoming. Hopefully in the next week or so, we'll determine who's going to win all these Medberry miniatures. So thank you, Andrew, there for this donation to the good people here. But yeah, we'll do that. Just keep an eye on the Patreon next week or so. Figure out who's going to get these figures. That, fortunately, is not all everything here, because we still have to talk about the paint contest. So fall 2025. Nobody's going to get to this point here, James. This is the longest episode. I know for a fact this is the longest episode of SAGA Thursday ever recorded, 100%. So if anybody gets to this point here, congratulations. You've got some secret knowledge. Nobody else is going to know that there's a paint contest that will be going on. And okay, so what's the paint contest? This time we are going to be painting a cannon or a Manuballista or a war machine from Age of Magic. We've got 3 options there for a half-point war machine. So we did mercenaries last time. I ixnayed the cannon is something too easy, but we're doing it. If you haven't painted your cannon yet for Age of Chivalry, now is the time. You had an awesome mega battle at Saga Storm, and you can listen to the Patreon about that, where each side had multiple cannons. In the mega battle, there was preliminary bombardment. We were attacking towers with these cannons, so now is the time to get your cannon ready. And what you're going to do is you're going to post a before photo. So James, I need you to make a thumbs down with your hand and make sure it's in the frame there. And you're going to take a photo of your figure in front of the screen right now. Hit that snap. Okay, James, we are good. Thank you for your service. Usually it's Monty doing that. You did good. Nice looking hands. Must have moisturized this morning. You had a big hand showing. You will paint the figure, and then you will post the before and the after on the SAGA Thursday Discord under the paint contest section. The deadline is, and this is a little different than prior months, but it's going to be October 31st. Okay, so timestamp on the Discord should, for me, show August 31st, and then we'll take a look at all of them. So at this point, it'll be Tristan sitting with me. We'll look at them. We'll pick out our favorite. They'll get the SAGA Thursday mug, pint glass, and then a favorite or a random person will get a Gripping Beast gift certificate, as always. Ever sponsor. But James, there's another kind of contest that's going to be coming up. So before we say goodbye, so we mentioned it. You are coming on for the Spartan faction review. That is episode 300. And we mentioned you are the proprietor. Are you a one-man operation?
No, so it's my friend Rusty and my wife Charlene who keeps both of us honest and keeping good books and getting our orders out, and myself. So the three of us work together. We go to shows in the Ohio, Michigan area, and we also sell online. Like I said earlier, we like to sell by the sprue whenever we can. We order from all the usual suspects: Warlord, Wargames Atlantic, Gripping Beast, Perry, all manufacturers of good quality miniatures we can order from. So if there's something you're interested in, and you're like, man, I always wished that somebody would carry it, but not in a box of 60 dudes. And if I don't carry it, let me know. I'll see if I can get it for you and split it up, because to me, that was a bit of a barrier to entry when I got into Saga. I was always going, well, I need how many guys with crossbows for picks and who actually sells those models and how many come in a box. And that was a big struggle for me. So yeah, when my friend and my wife and I decided to start this company together, one of the things that we set out to help players of all sorts with was being able to buy individual sprues rather than needing to buy entire boxes of figures.
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, this isn't the first time folks have heard of you. You were generous with some Adepticon sponsorship,
Sure.
and you helped me out. I was looking for a specific sprue. I didn't
Yeah.
know if you would do it or not. I just sent you an email. Like, hey, can I
Yeah.
get the crew
Absolutely.
sprue from the elephant? And you're like, yeah, sure. Just give me.
Yep. And then
I'll put
somebody
in the
else
order
wanted
and
to
send
buy,
it out.
somebody else wanted to buy the elephant without the crew. So it works out in the end.
Yeah,
There's
you
always,
get enough volume.
there's always a buyer
is
for
looking.
each individual part, as far as I can tell. So
Yeah.
it's
So
we've been doing that for a couple of years now, and it's not my actual job. It's just a fun little hobby thing.
Cool.
But it's
And
going well.
bringing that up because on episode 300, the Spartan faction review, we recorded it, like 4 or 6 weeks ago or something.
Right.
So I'm trying to remember exactly. The nature of the giveaway will be described in detail exactly what you need to do. But I'm just giving you a heads up because what I believe needs to happen is you need to watch the Spartan faction review, leave a comment, and then somebody will be getting some sprues or a box, or they'll be getting some Spartans.
It's a whole bag of Victrix Spartans, and
that's
so
basically
you will basically be able
Spartans.
you'll have a Spartan army ready to go if you win that. So
yeah, cool. So thank you. I didn't ask you to do that. You just kind of volunteered.
No, happy
that's
to.
Pretty cool. And so 300th episode. Hopefully you can make it kind of special. So I really appreciate you doing that. And yeah, like I said, this is part 1 of 2.
Yes.
Maybe 3. I don't know. We'll see where the madness takes us.
We'll see. There's some things that because when I did this, I thought, man, this is going to be one big long video, I guess, if we do all this. But now that we're doing a 2-parter, I might throw some extra factions there. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
I already got the abbreviated version.
That's right.
It's funny. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you to Sean, Patrick, Britt, DJ, Kitsune, Cruz, Damien, Robin, Mitch, and the rest of the Saga Thursday Patreons. Wouldn't be doing a video every week in 2025 without you guys. Definitely comment below. I mean, we talked about so much. There's got to be some interesting nugget that kind of caught your attention. If you want more videos like this, definitely let me know. It's kind of... I could do, and maybe James, you could be a part of this or not, or something on my own. But I could come out with like a specific fan, Song of Ice and Fire. This is the official fan thing. I thought it all up. You and your groups, you don't have to, figure it out on your own. You're taking our suggestions and it's written all down, and this is exactly what you need to do. And a veteran kind of made it, so it. It could be kind of an official-ish document to your group, and everybody can... You don't have to come to a consensus. You can just agree that we'll just use this document as it's laid out for here. But there's definitely, like I said, people are already doing this. So if you are one of those people playing Song of Ice and Fire or Lord of the Rings or anything else, post below, kind of let us know like how close our thoughts were to what you guys are doing. There's so many ways you could slice it. So I'm just really curious. And then if you have links to those, like I said, people are skinning those battle boards. I couldn't find them. If you got those, please post those below and share the resources. Because, I don't know. I got pretty stoked here thinking about all the possibilities, honestly.
It's all kinds of possibilities. And we're fortunate with Saga that we have, a whole stack of battle boards to go through and do this with, and that Saga Studio Tomahawk is one of those companies that isn't trying to legislate what we can do with the rules that they print. They put them out there and they give us a lot of creative freedom. And I think that that's certainly one of the things that that drew me to Saga in the first place.
Awesome. Well, I think that is officially about it. The only question is, I'm seeing if I talk for another minute and a half, it should break the 2-hour mark. So I don't know if it's better to do that or maybe just keep it under.
Yeah, but, interesting. Well, hey, you know what? Let's do this. I'll tell you about the convention we have coming up. How about that?
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is going to be posted before the convention. So this is Hold the Line. This is my group here in Northern Ohio, and we are going to be at Camp Perry this year. The last 2 years we've been at the Liberty Aviation Museum, and we've moved to Camp Perry, and we're really excited about it. We're gonna have a bar, in fact, for your evening Saga gaming. We're gonna have
the on-site alcohol.
Just beer, but it'll still be fun. And so we're gonna have 2 Saga tournaments. The first one is going to be just Ancients. That's going to be on Friday. And then Saturday, we're not quite sure what we're doing yet, but it'll be something cool. We kind of want to see. We're also doing some Saga at the HMGS convention. So we want to kind of see how that goes, and then we'll decide what we're doing at ours. But the dates for that convention, November 14th and 15th, 2 Saga tournaments over 2 days, and also all kinds of other good gaming. Camp Perry, Port Clinton, Ohio.
Right, sounds good. Well, broken through that 2-hour barrier. Officially the longest episode of Saga Thursday. Thank you, James. Thanks for sticking this out.
Oh, of course. Happy. I love chatting about this kind of stuff. It's really interesting, and I'll be really interested to see what other people are doing in their groups and what they think about this topic. I think it's a cool one.
There's a lot of room to play with these ideas, and as long as everybody's of like mind, I think you can have a lot of fun. We're going to come back. We'll hit it again, but for a while yet, so we'll just leave you with this. Enjoy, folks. James, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. All right.
Take care, Rodge. Bye.
Saga. If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon, or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.